Again, today we are here and by God's grace, and so this is a huge blessing that God has given us. And so we have to remember this and always have it in our minds and in our hearts that this is not by accident, this is by divine design and providence. And so we should be grateful to God and make sure that we do not waste this time and do not waste our lives and try to get to know our Creator better. And so that's the only way that we can actually be happy in this world. Otherwise, we are going to blame everything for our shortfalls. And so, but God is always there and He's witnessing all things. And so we should make sure that we understand it, and we should have it in our hearts and our minds that that we are just here to worship God alone, and that's what we have to do. I mean, there is the rest of the functions that we do during the day are unimportant, and so we have to just concentrate on that fact that the reason for our creation is to worship God, and so this may sound a little bit arrogant, but it is not. It's a fact, and we have to follow this fact in order to get closer to our Creator. And that should be our goal. Today, what I wanted to talk about is okay. So today, what I wanted to talk about is the chapter 15. Chapter 15 is verses 49 and 50. These are the two that I want to emphasize. God is telling us, He says, "Inform my servants that I am indeed the all-forgiving, the all-merciful." Then God, immediately after that, the verse after that, 15:50, says, "And that indeed my retribution is most agonizing." So what does this mean? This means that and here, as you notice, that God refers to Himself in first person singular. Okay, I am indeed. Okay, so not we are. I am indeed. So the all forgiving, the all merciful, and that indeed my retribution is most agonizing. Okay. So God is in the entire Quran, God is telling us that He's kind to us. He is compassionate. He is the all gracious, the all merciful. That's how He introduces Himself to us. And you know, we're human beings, and we have a tendency to step beyond the limits. Try to see how far we can push the envelope. This is our nature. Okay. And without receiving consequences of that transgressions that we do. Okay. And then God comes back to us and He says, and let me just go ahead and And then in 2:186, God says that, and when my servants ask you about me, I'm always nearby, and I respond to the call of the caller when he calls. Therefore, they shall respond to me and have faith in me that they may find guidance. Okay? If we do not respond to God, we cannot find guidance. As I said, we cannot push the envelope. That's why in that verse, in verse 50 of chapter 15, verse 50, God is telling us that his retribution is most agonizing. He says, do not push the envelope, because there are consequences for our actions. We may not know it at that time what those consequences are. Sometimes they are very quick. Consequences are very quick. Sometimes they are not. Sometimes they take a while. And sometimes, if we are not believers, if we are not people who believe in God alone, then we can miss it completely. We miss those nudges that God has given us, those consequences that we see because of our own actions. We miss it. Okay? So here God is telling us that he's always there. He's always nearby. And as I said, we learn from these verses that we exist and live within God. Our existence is because of God. Otherwise, we won't exist. And God is surrounding us. And so he's telling us that, yes, I'm close by, I'm nearby. And I'll respond to the call of the caller when he calls. That's all we have to do, just call. Right now we're calling upon God. And we are responding to God. And that's how you can find guidance. Okay? Otherwise, we cannot find guidance without responding to God. Okay? God says here, he says that therefore they shall respond to me and have faith in me that they may find guidance. Okay? All of these in first person singular, as I said. I, me, okay? God alone. No one else. No one else in between here. Nobody. And then God says, when my servants ask you about me, not ours, my. So there won't be any doubt. And what did God mean by we or us? Some people, they try to say, well, you know, the angels and stuff like that. That's not true. We is a royal we. God is the king. As it says in chapter 59, that's one of his names. He's the king. Okay? So in order for it not to be any arguments, God uses first person singular. So there wouldn't be any doubt left. Okay? I'm always nearby. I'm surrounding you. You're already there. I'm already there. And I'll respond to the caller when he calls. So this is what we're doing right now. Okay? So if I go to there we go, 1549. Inform my servants, that should be capital my, I'll fix it later, that I am indeed the all-forgiving, the all-merciful, and indeed my retribution is most agonizing. Okay? So God is warning people that, look, I am the all-forgiving, the all-merciful. but don't push the envelope. Don't try it. We did try this before. We tried to do this, and we tried to see how far we can push the envelope. And this is why we are here today. So every time we read the Quran, God is giving us the good news of forgiveness, of love, of tolerance. But he says, don't push me. Don't try me. And people do. People think they can get away with it. Okay, maybe I do this and later I'm going to ask for forgiveness. Don't take advantage of the situation. Because now God's wisdom has to come in. He's the all-wise also. And he cannot let people get away with these things. These retribution that God is talking about are consequences of our own deeds that are disturbing the balance that God has created. That disturbs this collective consciousness that we are unaware of. We think things are inanimate objects. Those things that are inanimate objects, they have a connection to God. God is surrounding us. When we are doing those kind of things that are not supposed to be done, we are disturbing God. We are tormenting God. And He's telling us, look, don't do this. Because that indeed my retribution is most agonizing. You're going to suffer the consequences of what you're doing. So stop. Think about it. So we have to keep reminding ourselves every day of our lives, that God is always there. This is the system that He has created. And He is nearby. Okay? That He sees all, He hears all. And He doesn't like it when we make the wrong decision. That's what He says. I don't like it. He says, I don't like when my servants make the wrong decision. When they transgress against me. That bothers Him. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to hurt God. We want to be in a situation that we are connecting to God all the time. Like right now. We are making contact with our Creator. Okay? We are in a position to be in contact, in touch with our Creator. You can't see your soul, what your soul is doing right now. And so, as I said, it's not that it's somewhere else. God is somewhere else. God is everywhere. And we are, right now, we are all in God. We live, we breathe, we work in God. The space that we have is because of God. Okay. This is the beauty of God's creation. And so, inform my servants that I am indeed the all-forgiving, the all-merciful, and that indeed my retribution is most agonizing, don't take advantage of me. Don't take advantage of my mercy and my forgiveness. Don't take advantage of my generosity, that I look over a lot of stuff that you are doing. Do not push the envelope. If you do that, you are going to suffer the consequences. And as I said, sometimes the consequences are quick. And sometimes they are not. They come later on. And depending on if we are believers in God or not, God alone, okay, we may not even connect the dots. The dots cannot be connected using this. And so we don't know where it's coming from. We may blame it on bad luck or something like that, or bad omen. No, it's not that. It's something that we have done. So every time we need something, as it says in 2:186, we call upon God. Our soul needs something right now. Our soul needs to be in contact with our Creator. That's what this salat is, and we do this. Okay, by God's will. Again, I said that. This is, we are here by God's will. And we have to be eternally grateful for that. Gratefulness is a godlike quality. Okay? And it needs reciprocity. We have to pay back in kind. In-kind service on our part. We have to be grateful to God. Because He's always grateful to us. Okay? This is who God is, and as I said, don't take God as a fool. Okay? He is the all-wise. It says in chapter 95, okay, Alaysa Allah bi'ahkam al-hakimin, isn't He the best of all the judges? He has to have that balance, to keep that balance all the time. So we have to understand these verses, what God is telling us, okay, and abide by them, and understand it. Understand it, take it to heart. Okay, the good news is that He is the all-forgiving, the all-merciful. That's the good news. And the warning comes, don't take advantage of me. Don't push the envelope too far. We did this. All of us pushed the envelope too far, and we ended up here. Okay, there was limitless things that we could have had. Just one thing was forbidden and prohibited, and we took it. We pushed the envelope towards that, towards the one that we were told not to approach. And we failed that test. And again, as I said, we are basically doing the same thing in our daily lives. We push the envelope too far. And God is warning us about it. Although I am the all-forgiving, the all-merciful, indeed my retribution is most agonizing. Don't try me. Don't take me as a fool. Okay, you are going to suffer the consequence of your own hands. Okay, I'm going to stop here and we'll finish this.